Hey Rissy, Diana here, back again with another recent rotation. Even though I just uploaded my jazz-related episode, I just thought I'd do another video because finally the weather is nice and I just wanted to take the time. And I was planning to do an outdoor edition again, but in the minute I came home, my neighbor decided that it would be time to do his lawn. So since he has a big garden, I think he won't be finished in the next 2 hours. So I just retreated to the indoors and do another video. And fittingly, today, a year ago, I uploaded my first video, my vinyl introduction, and so yeah, I just thought it would be fun to do a video on the same day. Yay, channel anniversary! Right now I just have some hip-hop related paintings to show, so this is Mobb Deep. The member Prodigy just recently passed away. The first record is a CA Quintet Trip Through Hell, released originally in 1969 over Candy Floss. This is the 2016 Sundays reissue. This is actually the first record I ever got to know through the vinyl community, precisely through Tony, Mr. Fartboy. Years ago, when we started watching VC videos, I made a little book which listed all the records that I wanted to check out, which were shown by members, and this was the first entry in the book. The album starts with the Trip Through Hell Part 1, a 9-minute long instrumental, which has this incredible eerie vocals and really driving percussion, which you can hear in the back. And I was totally blown away by it, and it was utterly familiar for me because it was sampled by Rock Machano, hip-hop artist. The CA Quintet is a Minnesota-based psychedelic rock band. The album has been just released in a very small quantity, hence the originals are incredibly sought after. The CA Quintet released a few garage rock singles before they made that album, and they looked like a frat band. Don't let those looks fool you. The sound is heavy psychedelic with crazy use of vocals, really funky vibes, astounding drums and percussion, and indeed a trip from start to finish. I think it's very known, so yeah, I don't have to say that much about it, and I will needle drop it so you will hear for yourself, but you also can hear it in the background and it's going like crazy, and I absolutely love it. The next one is Edip Akbayram, a self-titled album from 1974, released over Cyan Records. This is the 2014 Ferris Sounds reissue. This album was released in 1974, but it's more a compilation. It collects singles from 1972 until 1974 by the Turkish singer and composer. And this is a prime example of Anatolian rock. For me, Edip Akbayram is just in the same league as Erkan Koray or Boris Mangcho, so If you like Anatolian rock, I would highly recommend it. It incorporates traditional Turkish music into heavy, fuzzy, psychedelic tunes. It's really hypnotizing and has a kind of dark vibe, which I really enjoy.
İnce ince bir kar yağar fakirlerin üstüne. Nedenli felek inandırmıyor gariplerin sözüne. Yandım.
Gypsy in the Garden, released in 1971 over Metro Media Records, and just look at that awesome cover. That is easily one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And this is just one of the endless list of albums that went to my want list solely because of DJ Mellow Yellow and the Psych Professor. And now I have to make a little confession. The video of those two guys are like practically binge watched here in this household. I thoroughly enjoy watching those two on the screen together because they have a great chemistry and it's so fun to watch them, and the album recommendations they do are always spot on, and they do little sound blips of each record they show. And if you don't know that channel and you are just remotely into Psych, I just would highly recommend you to check the channel out because their videos are awesome. And all the bargains they find, I'm so jealous of, because all the records they show are sometimes impossible to find here. For example, they once showed this Don Robertson Dawn record, something like that, with an absolutely cool cover. And it was like, oh, you can get it cheap here. And I was looking it up on Discogs, and it was around like 40 euros. And I haven't seen it since for less. It's more like, hey, it's again there for 80 euros or 90 euros. And I think like, mad sense, how do you find that? So yeah, Matt has always the greatest finds and highly recommend it. I found this original in a pretty cool store while traveling through Germany. This is another Minnesota-based band, but this time it's more progressive rock with a bit of psychedelia, really awesome guitar play, really catchy melodies, Hammond-B3 organ, and really nice soulful vocals. It's the second album the band made, and yeah. As far as you can see, as much as you can feel, is a pretty awesome 12-minute long track. Here in the Garden, part 1 and part 3 had this incredible ecstatic percussion. Blind Man has some really soul-style vocal chorus, which is incredibly catchy, and I could swear I heard this somewhere as a sample, but I just can't put the finger on it and it drives me mad. And so yeah, it's just a thoroughly enjoyable album. Molitor hits Internacionales, released in 1969 over Orpheon. This is the 2006 Orpheon video box release from Mexico. Bodo was born and raised in Germany, but he traveled a lot around the globe, and then he stayed in Mexico, where he released this album over Orpheon as label mate of the band Kaleidoscope, for which he also created the well-known cover. Made also several other covers for the label, as well as for his brother Reinhold. As well as the Kaleidoscope album, this is a really good example of the Mexican garage rock psychedelia scene, I would say, even though he was born in Germany, but he stayed there quite a long time, I think. All the tracks here, for example, She's a Woman, When I Was 17, Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood, The Midnight Hour, I think they are all covers. Sometimes even more with a country or blues tinge than a garage rock tinge. Really highlighted by his raspy voice and a hell lot of fuzz and Hammond B3 goodness, and so yeah, it makes it utterly trippy and psychedelic and just a great album. And I really dig the cover as well. That's the one he made for the Kaleidoscope album.
Girl, don't stand with my what I feel. If you put your little head so far, far from my home, I should know if she hurt me bad. You can't see how deep I feel. Still with perfume hairs that came on down when I was 21.
Perhacs Parallelograms, released in 1970 over Cup Records. This is the 2010 Sundays release. Yeah, I love Sundays, and I like to log myself out. This is a very frail beauty of an album. It's calm and melancholic psychedelic folk, even though I would say it's more folk than psychedelic though. Linda was working in LA as a dental hygienist and with a lot of Hollywood clientele, including the composer Leonard Rosenman. And one day they just were talking, and the conversation led up to her giving him a demo tape of her. And he was so mesmerized by her voice and her songwriting that he made this album with her. This was her only album back then. She made one 44 years later in 2014, and this album did not sell very well, so she just went back working on her normal job. This album has some kind of obscure title names like Paper Mountain Man, Porcelain Baked Over Cast Iron Wedding, and Moon and Cattails. And a lot of echoes and weird effects and her really enchanting voice, which makes this a really compelling listen. She actually sent the first vinyl pressing of her album straight to the trash because she was so disappointed by the really flat mixing the record company did, because they wanted to adapt it more for the radio sound, and she said that it totally flattened out all the highs and lows they just intended in this record, and so she was super disappointed by the release. So 30 years later, when a label approached her because they wanted to reshoot the album, she just said that they should not take the tapes they had from the record company, but her original tapes she had kept in store at her bedroom because she wanted to do the mastering right this time. This is, I think, the third reissue there is, but it just sounds terrific.
In the soak of leaves and the needle tufts and foam, you'll touch 'em, but you'll never love. That's the way you've always been. You've been called ahead, you've been called to bed, you've been called the damned, but we'll shake your hand. You're like a paper mountain man. That's night I breathe the pine and earth, that salty feel upon my dampened skin. Time was flow, last year baked in Saks special powder and Villafranche and lace.
Jorge Ben, Brazil Tropical. This was originally released in 1973 as 10 Anois Depois. But this is the 1975 Metronome release, German release, which was renamed for some reason. It has a different cover. This is the 10th studio album Jorge Ben made. He is revisiting his earlier tracks on here and reinventing them in the style he had at that point, in a kind of medley way. I know that this record is not as popular as his other studio albums, but I really enjoy it. It's very soulful and joyful and really ecstatic and energetic. Just perfect for the summer and highly enjoyable.
Você por mim não chora, mas eu choro por você. Sobe chuva, chove sem parar, com muita coragem, só porque um dia Charles matou bobeira e foi tirar sem querer férias numa colônia penal. Então a girar, a girar, a girar. A negra, a rainha do samba mais bela da festa, a dona da feira, uma fiel representante brasileira. O dia andar quando vai à praia é coisa nossa. A sua simpatia é coisa nossa. Esse sol de 40 graus, graus, graus é coisa nossa.
And the last one for today, the Neighb'rhood Childr'n, released in 1968 over Acta. This is the 2011, again, Sunday's reissue. The Neighb'rhood Childr'n were originally a band from a small village in Oregon with a population of just 600 people, and they called themselves the Navarros and played surf music. And then they visited San Francisco for a weekend and absolutely fell in love with the psychedelic movement and just renamed themselves, stayed there and made psychedelic rock. They recorded this album, toured with The Who and Deep Purple, and they found religion and changed the name to White Horse, I think, and due to bankruptcy of Acta label, they never found another label to release their second album, and so this stays their only album. This has the ingredients of a perfect psychedelic album. It has an awesome mix of female and male vocals, fiery acid-fast sunshine pop and catchy hooks. The track She's Got No Identification is basically stuck in my ear all day. Really great lyrics and a lot of the Rings reference with Hobbit's Dream, which is never wrong. Chocolate Angel is an amazingly heavy and hard psychedelic freak out. Patterns, for example, is incredibly trippy and hypnotizing. Our favorites here are Over the Rainbow, Please Leave Me Alone and Hobbit's Dream. Yeah. It's really poppy at some points, but I like it nevertheless, and it's just a killer album.
Everything around me is freedom.